how expensive is a week in Vegas? It's expensive. We've been going to Vegas for 10 years, 15 years. First time we stayed at Aladdin.
Yes.
We've stayed at the Imperial Palace, which is now the Link. We went back when you could get a steak dinner and lobster for $7.99, and they
Yes.
handed out free brochures to see, free shows during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So we went back when it was the real Vegas. And,
Way back.
Yeah, and have watched it evolve over time and turn into something that we're not as excited about, but we still love all the glam and glitz of Vegas, so we keep going back. And we probably go, 2 to 4 times a year?
Yes.
And I can honestly say that you hear all these people say this, that, or the other, but we have never come home from Vegas with more money than we started with.
Never.
We watch tons of videos on people playing slots and how they win and the different strategies, and I can tell you, we've never come out ahead.
And we've tried all the strategies that people have said.
We've tried the $5, 5-line with a bonus, low volatility.
Low volatilities.
We've tried high volatility. We've tried doing the bank rolling. We've tried everything. We've tried doing $100 on a machine.
We tried high betting, low betting.
We've done $20 bets. We've done 40-cent bets. And we've got, over a period of 10 years, we've got 3 hand pays.
Yes.
3.
Three.
Two of them were minimum betting.
And those both were in Vegas.
Both in Vegas. And one was betting $8, I think, in Biloxi.
In Biloxi.
So those are the only 3 we've gotten in about 10 or 15 years is 3 hand pays.
And some of the hand pays, we were so far down that the hand pay didn't make a difference, didn't even bring us back up to where we started from.
Yeah, down $5,000, you hit over 3,000, big whoop.
Yeah.
You still walk out a loser.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you go there, you have fun, you experience it, and you enjoy Vegas and do what you gotta do, and you don't expect to win. It's entertainment. That's where you go. We understand that every time we go.
And we love it.
But we just went and came back about 10 days ago, like I said, and it's not cheap. We didn't go do any of the fancy restaurants. We didn't do any fancy excursions. We didn't do any tours. We went there to gamble, eat, drink, and explore the Vegas area.
And we did with your status, we did have the celebrity dinner option where we could have gotten $100 off a meal. We didn't even take advantage of that. We didn't go anywhere.
No, we didn't do any of that stuff. I mean, we still have it in the bank, so we'll go back somewhere, some Caesar property and have dinner and spend $100. I mean, we got money and comps and whatnot, but like I said, we didn't do any of that stuff. We didn't see any museums, didn't do any tours. We were just there to gamble, eat, drink, and have a good time and walk around the strip, which we actually didn't even end up doing a whole lot because we lost so much money so quick. It's like, why go down to more casinos and lose more money?
Yes.
But we did travel a lot. We were supposed to stay there for 7 days, almost 8. We arrived late on Friday night, but to slow down on the losing, we decided that we were going to, and we knew this in advance, we planned on taking some tours that we planned on ourselves just by driving and having a rental car and driving out to Pioche, which is about a 3-hour drive. And saw the $1 million courthouse, which was actually closed. We drove by it for the second time.
We saw the graveyard of the Boot Hill,
yeah.
which is what was it? More killings there than.
Oh yeah, way more than Tombstone. There's like
Tombstone?
a dozen in Tombstone, and
there were 40 graves we counted.
There were actually 72 people who died before somebody died of natural causes or something to that nature.
Yes.
So it's interesting. They have the graves there, and most of them are run down. You can't read, but a couple of them you can actually read. Some of the information on it that caused the death of these individuals, and and there's an old hotel, and there's a lot of things that you can see around the town. But it was just nice to get out and drive and see the countryside and see the desert.
The one place we did stop was the closest you could come to Area 51 without being attacked by cops, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
or being knocking on their door. It's a tiny little bar restaurant.
It's called Alien by Rachel. It was Rachel, Nevada. It's where they have the storm the Area 51 every year. So we stopped by there and had, talked to the locals and had a beer and some fries and whatnot. But that's the things we did to try to slow down the bleeding of our wallets. And even with that being said, the eating, drinking, gambling, and traveling still came to a pretty hefty sum.
And sorry, and if you guys haven't been in Vegas for a while, back when it was $5.99 lobsters, it's not. We tried to eat a couple times. We went to wasn't Steak and Shake, In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, there's still some value items on the
Because
strip.
that was cheap. But whenever we sat down, and when we sat down to eat, it was just like what was nachos and 2 beers.
Yeah. Well, Carlos and Charlie's, we had
Yes.
2 beers each with tax and tip was, a single bottle of beer was like $13, and we got a couple appetizers, and out the door was like $86. But that's what you're going to see on the strip. There are some bargain items, like everybody always says. There's a McDonald's on the strip. There's Taco Bell on the strip. There's In-N-Out Burger on the strip, and then there might be a few other places too. But for the most part, you're going to be obliterated if you eat on the strip every day, and that's why we do a rental car, so we can go off the strip and get some other food items. And the thing about going off the strip is it's not the same thing all the time. You can try all different kinds of foods, have sushi or whatever without paying $300 for a meal. Because on the strip, if you have anything, everything's turned into a celebrity dining experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
Guy Fieri.
I mean, if you go to Bobby Flay's Burgers, you're paying $50 a couple burgers and a couple beers. And that's just fast food, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we always like to go off strip. I mean, we're just going to Roberto's Tacos or something for breakfast, or just driving out to Mesquite or driving around. But we try to be as budget conscious as we can in Vegas, which doesn't always work out.
No.
But just to give you an idea how much we've spent on the 7-8 days we were supposed to be there. In full disclosure, we lost so much money for us in the first couple days that after 5 days, we decided to just get a rental car and drive home from Vegas to Alabama in a one-way rental. And that was just another experience too, is because we were going through Avis, and I just wanted to extend my turn-in for one day and turn it into Huntsville, which was the area we live in, versus turning it into Las Vegas. And they wanted $1,000 just to drive it here. However, if I went and turned it in and got a completely new rental and drove it all the way back to Huntsville, it was only $500, which is just kind of silly and stupid and just makes you go out of your way for no reason. But the thing is, just check your options before you make any decisions.
And we've always talked about driving to or from Vegas. We always wanted to do that. So we did it. We do want to experience it again because we did not have time to stop at all the places we wanted to stop because we only had.
We did about 4 days. So we had 3 days.
3. We had to be We left on Thursday morning and we had to turn it in Sunday morning. Turn the car in Sunday morning. So we were on kind of a time limit that we couldn't go see. We varied a little bit, but we couldn't go see all the things we wanted to see.
Well, the thing is, the route we took home mirrored Route 66 quite a bit. So we got to see things like the Twin Arrows and other things that we, Winslow, Arizona. Got to see that. We drove by, which was very surprising that
there were lines.
There were lines for people to stand out in front of a statue and take a picture, which I just found simply amazing. That, and it's a kind of a thing, but that was a song we released in '72, so I couldn't imagine that many people even know about the song. But I guess it's just old people like us that wanted to go get their picture taken with it, so they did.
Yes, and a lot of young people probably don't know what Route 66 is. So.
But we want to experience it again because, like I said, we get to do a whole lot of stuff we wanted to do.
Yes.
And every year that goes by, it becomes more and more in disrepair because the Twin Arrows is now a single arrow. But it was interesting to see. We stopped off at casinos.
But again, that's nice. Again, that is one of our bucket trips that we want to start in Chicago or Santa Monica Pier and do the whole Route 66 tour and take 2 weeks or whatever and take our time and stop at every place and get pictures. But we just saw parts of it.
Right. So getting back to how much it does cost for a week,
Too much.
for a week in Vegas, it was never like this in the past. And mind you, we had a diamond status member, so it was free rooms.
Rooms were free the whole time, which was good, except for the last.
Well,
Okay.
on the drive home, yes. And I had points that I paid for my flight with, so that was $22 with the flight. We had flight and free room, so it was pretty much $22 for us to go there and stay. However, the other breakdown that I have here is parking for that time at the airport was $81. The drive home and stopping at gas stations and maybe getting a bag of chips or something was $310, and driving out to Pioche and driving around Vegas and just sightseeing was, like I said, $310. The food and drink, $762 for a week of eating out, which is not bad for Vegas because you go to a couple of those celebrity meals and you can hit three.
Right.
I mean, we've eaten at Golden Steer, that was almost $400 for one meal.
Right. And we did have, because we go off the strip and gamble a lot, we had free breakfast at different casinos. So we took advantage of that so we didn't have to pay for breakfast.
Yeah, some of the places we like going to are
Railroad Pass.
Railroad Pass. We had free breakfast there. We had 777s.
777s. We had
Free breakfast there.
free breakfast there. I had free breakfast there, I think, twice that week, and I got $60 of free play there. And that is only maybe 3 or 4 blocks off the strip
Not too
past
far.
Ellis Island, so it is walking distance. But
Not that I'd want to do it.
no, not a good area to walk. But I do believe Tupac was killed there though.
So, like I said, not great idea. But other places we like to hit are Charlie's, Arizona Charlie's.
Arizona Charlie's.
You don't have to gamble out there. Out in Pahrump, we went out there too while we were in town. It's about an hour and change away from there, and you go out there and stay at the True Rewards places like Strat, build some points up, and you get some free lunch,
Yes.
breakfast there. So we try to hit the things, we try to hit the different casinos, and try to take advantage of some of their offerings. But with that said, even hitting those free things and not, the most expensive thing I think we had was Charlie there.
Carlos and Charlie's, which is in the Flamingo.
One of the Caesars.
In the Flamingo.
So that was like $762, like I said a couple times, and then lodging was $745. Granted, I said that it was free, but we decided that we wanted to stay at the Fontainebleau.
Yes.
So we
For one night.
we went there for one night, and we wanted to see what that like. It's a beautiful property, and we also got it through the American Airlines, and I got 8,000 miles and 11,000, 12,000 loyalty points. So we try to build up our American Airlines points and status. And then the hotels on the way home, and the 3 days we were driving. So that came to about $745. And granted, it cost us that extra money for the gas and the lodging. Well, considering how much money we were losing, we still came out ahead by not staying there those next 3 days.
Should we tell them how much it was?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I got it on the spreadsheet right here.
Okay, sorry.
The rental car was $1,080, and the initial one was like $500. And then, like I said, to go the one way from Vegas was another $500. We could have saved $500 there. Could have saved a few hundred on the lodging.
But that's where we had to evaluate that. What was cheaper, driving home and spending the money on the drive, or staying in Vegas for the last 3 days? And if you're not gambling, you're gonna pay for tours, you're gonna pay for restaurants.
Yeah.
So we waited, and we figured that
And no lie, if we're on a strip,
we're gambling.
we're getting up at 2 a.m. going down and gambling. Period.
Yes.
And I have to say though, the only time we actually came out ahead in Vegas, and not came out ahead overall, was we just doing $20 in each casino and walking the entire strip.
Yes, we've done that.
That time we actually came out ahead.
Just a little tidbit. If we got up early one morning and went to Casino Royale. We stayed at Harrah's, and Casino Royale was right next door. Kind of a little rundown, kind of little place.
Not too bad. I like
But
it.
it's not a Caesars property, so it had different slots. We were there probably for 2 or 3 hours one morning, and it's like we were the only people there. And every time the waitress came around and
Oh my
brought
gosh.
us a drink, it was a beer about this big, she would bring two to each of us because they're small. So
And shout out to her, man. She did it.
I mean, we were
Talk about old fashions, and I mean, if you got a drink, she we were tipping her.
She would bring you two.
We were tipping her pretty good.
We tipped her pretty good. We're like, why are you bringing us so many? She said, because they're small. Okay.
And they are small.
They were.
But after about 8 of them,
yes,
they still do their work. But
and again, sorry, there's machines that you don't often see. So if you want to see a different machine,
yeah, if you're always going to Caesar's a lot of times have the same machine. MGM has a lot of the same machines. So if you don't vary it, you'll see a lot of the same machines. Like you won't see Fireball at Caesar's, except for the one with the monkeys on it.
yes,
Or the Fireball cascading water. But yeah, you won't see those. So we have to go out and do those kind of things. And like I said, we tried to get the food. We went downtown and you had the $3 hot dogs and a beer
and there's videos of those.
And we've done those.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to make our dollar stretch, but whenever you do hit the strip, they're gonna hit you hard. So, and oddly enough, the only thing we spent as far as sightseeing and entertainment was like $14. I mean, we didn't go to the museum and do anything. We went there with a purpose, and that purpose wasn't to lose money, but that's kind of what it ended up being.
And we can't even remember what we spent that $14 on.
No, I looked at it and put it down here, but I didn't mark it down what it was. And the last thing, our 5 days we were there, and this may not be a lot of money to some people, and it's definitely not within outside of our expectations of what we might lose when we go to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But when you lose it that quickly, we lost $3,600 probably in about 5 days.
And just we landed at like 11 o'clock at night on a Friday morning. Before we went to bed, or on a Friday night, before we went to bed that Saturday morning, and I think we went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, from 11 o'clock to...
We went to 5 a.m. We barely went to bed.
yeah, barely went to bed. But from like 11 to 3, 11 to 5, we spent $1,300 because the machines were just eating it. We couldn't hit anything.
And that's the thing too, is the $3,600 was one thing, but when you just put money in and you don't expect to win because you lose every single pull and you can't get line hits.
We weren't even getting line hits.
That's just very discouraging. So it's not like you don't think that you even have a chance to win. So after about 5 days, we're like, and 2.5 days of the 5, we were not even on the strip. We were out.
At least half the day we were out. When we went to Pioche, we were gone for
the entire day.
8 hours. Yeah.
So grand total of us being in Vegas, driving home and giving up and whatever you want to call it, it was about $6,600, and that's with the free flight and free rooms for the initial stay. And if you put it in perspective, that was like first 4 days free of lodging. And then we paid for like the last 3 or 4 days.
But to be honest, when we booked it, the whole week was comped for us.
It was.
So we could have stayed, and it was Harris. We could have stayed at Harris for nothing, no resort fees, nothing. But we were losing so bad we had to get out.
Yeah, I mean it cost us probably $1,000 drive home.
Yes.
But if we stayed there 3 days, I mean we could have lost it every single day. So
yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you stayed with us to the end, which I'm not sure if any of you have, or not sure how many people we watch our videos at this point, but I'm at this, from what I've seen, it's not very many.
We haven't had one comment. We're just looking for a comment.
So if you've managed to stay with us for this entire time, and you send us a comment and you put your Venmo information in it, I will send you $10 just because you were brave enough to listen to us ramble on for this long and stick it out. So.
Yes. Yep.
But before we leave, I do want to say one thing. One of our highlights of our trip, which was odd to us, was that we went to a gas station, the largest Chevron in Nevada.
And we've been there several times.
But we really never looked around. But we went there, and I think it's better than Buc-ee's.
And they do have a White Castle there if you're interested in White Castle.
Which we didn't ever do since.
But like you said, there have been comments. Is this bigger? Is this nicer than Buc-ee's? And there were people there that thought it was, and there were people there that didn't think it was.
We're 8 minutes from Buc-ee's.
We are, yes.
I enjoy myself there because Buc-ee's is basically brisket, Buc-ee nuts, and clothing with Buc-ee's on it.
Mhm.
This year we got all this stuff here, just weird stuff. I mean, seriously. Bob
Wow.
Ross Positive Energy Drink. Who'd have thunk it? I mean, you have all kinds of alien stuff, Star Trek,
Aliens.
sour gummies, stickers, Swedish fish. They have a full counter of food like deli.
Yes.
And,
And a beer cave,
A
and
beer-
they have like a Red Bull energy
oh
section.
yeah, they get a whole section for that.
And so we do have videos if you want to, that will be posted soon if you want to view on our channel, where we showed the inside of this.
They have a Candyland, a whole freaking section of just
Yes.
different candies. I mean, sour. But that, I mean, I hate to say it, but that was pretty much the highlight of our trip. Was one at
and we-
Doggone gas station.
And we've been there before.
And we
So
also-
we knew what it was like, but we still enjoyed it.
And we got things for our kids, but we also went out to Baker's, California, went to Alien Jerky. So we were making some pretty good road trips and
Yes.
trying to stay off the strip to save money. But
And
they're going to reel you back in, and they're taking your money. But they don't build those billion-dollar casinos because people go there and win money.
another short or video that we will have is we stopped at the last spike, which we didn't know about.
Oh yeah,
That was you know more about it than I do.
no, it's just where the railroads came together from the east and the west, and the last spike was driven to connect them.
So we try to search for weird things or different things to see on the trip, so we're not always losing our money.
I have to say, those 7 mountains don't do
No, 7 mountains.
it.
7 mountains. The 7, whatever they're called, mountains.
Yeah, and on that
7.
note, I think we're
We're done.
out. I appreciate anybody who listened and
Thank you.
watched. And if you managed to be able to stick it out to the end, put your Venmo information there. If you're the first person, we will send you $10. So